So it's just like, it makes me feel like I'm back in like 2004 or something, and it's like architects and bring me drama and stuff. It's like, what's happening?
You're listening to Sappenin Podcast.
Sappenin!
You are listening to episode 338 of Sappenin Podcast, presented by Emo's Not Dead, featuring myself, Sean Smith, and my good friend, Morgan Richards.
Yes, it's me, Morgan Richards, and brabadoo! Just like John Cena, I'm in my villain arc era. I feel like a man on fire in black flames. Sure, I'm worrying, what if I burn? But I can either choke or let go.
Right, if you don't understand what he's been doing then, he's literally tried to get a load of Bury Tomorrow song titles and lyrics into the intro to introduce our guest this week, who is the very, very strong Dani Winter-Bates of Bury Tomorrow.
The real question is, if it was the other way around, would you haunt me with the same patience?
I'm running out of fucking patience now. Carry on.
British metalcore juggernauts Bury Tomorrow have had a grip on the heavy side of this scene since they started all the way back in 2006, growing from those young Lionhearts to international genre staples, and over the last few years have gained a fresh injection of hype after a couple of changes within the lineup, behind the scenes, and in their own personal lives. Today, they released their 8th studio album. Yes, 8th. Will You Haunt Me with the Same Patience? And we thought it was about time we got old Dani Winter-Bates back on the podcast to not only give us all the gossip about it, but dive into some interesting aspects that he has got going on the side, juggling the band along with the mental health role for the NHS and working on physical health too. He's a very, very busy boy lately.
Yes, we spoke about everything from new record, old record, first records, lineup changes, vinyls, and the latest bunch of videos. This was a very, very interesting and insightful chat with the staple metalcore frontman of the scene, the beautiful Dan Winter-Bates, obviously.
Yeah, well, you've seen that band literally grow from when they started. You know, the Black Album, Bury Tomorrow were always kind of around the same places.
Yeah, we played many a festival kind of adjacent to each other throughout the years, and yeah, just getting to see them get bigger and fucking better, and knowing they're still getting bigger and fucking better is so amazing to see and hear. And yeah, it literally warmed my heart to see the happiness and to hear the happiness from Dan talking about the new record and where he is in his life at the moment and where he is mentally.
Yes, and a big part of this conversation is the work he does with the NHS around mental health. And this couldn't come at a better time because we're recording this and putting it out during Mental Health Awareness Week. So we encourage you to look after yourselves, keep an eye out for your friends, and seek help where and when you can. Don't ever feel like you're alone. I want to give a shout out to Heads Above the Waves, who are a local organisation near us, who, if you head over to their website, have got loads of information. And obviously there's all the other things like Samaritans and stuff that we encourage you, if you're feeling down, to go and look at online. On the flip side to this podcast this week is fueled by all the coffee Sean has been drinking from our friends at Emo's Not Dead.
Yes, they sent me a package a couple of weeks ago with a couple of t-shirts, a couple of hoodies, and some bags of coffee. I am currently nearly finishing my first bag of the Emo's Not Dead Noir. Which I cannot recommend enough. It's absolutely lovely. If you like coffee, if you don't like coffee, you're in trouble. But do you know what? I'd buy it for the packaging anyway, because the packaging's cool as fuck. So if you like emo stuff but don't like coffee, but want something in your kitchen to be like, oh, that ties in with your love of music and your clothing themes, check it out. emosnotdead.com. They got loads of stuff here.
Fucking amazing sales pitch. I want to take a second as well just to say thank you so much for all the love and messages and just support we've received personally over the last week off the back of the announcement that we have teamed up with E&D and become their official podcast of them kind of partnering up in this thing going forward. If you've missed it, go back to last week's episode where we speak to the founder himself, Matt Cutchell, about everything. You've probably noticed we've changed the logos, we've changed kind of graphics, we've changed just the kind of branding behind this podcast after 6.5 years, and it was met with the loveliest responses. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. If you'd like to support us in any way to keep this thing going each and every week, please go and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Sappenin. Over there, there's a whole community of people who are arranging to meet up at all the festivals going on over the summer. Slam Dunk is next week. They're all getting excited. We're planning a big photo shoot in the field. If you'd like to get involved, patreon.com/Sappenin.
And fingers crossed, we might end up in some festivals in the America. Fingers crossed. So I know there's so many millions of Americans dying to meet me and you. So you never know. Keep your eyes out. We might be at a festival this summer in America. I'm putting it out there. I'm doing that manifesting.
I've heard
for people
that.
to do.
I've heard of that.
So yeah, if you say it out loud, you will definitely get in. You don't have to do any work whatsoever for it. So, millions of pounds, millions and millions of pounds. Anyway, let's get on with this week's episode because this is fucking cracking. I enjoyed this chat and I've got a lot of love for Dani Winter-Bates of Bury Tomorrow. Sappenin!
Sappenin!
He's a fucking lovely boy.
Sappenin!
Sappenin.
Oh, there was a pause and it was a shorty. This week's guest is the brilliant and powerful Dani Winter-Bates of the mighty Bury Tomorrow. How are you, Dan?
That is probably the best introduction that's ever happened in my life. And I've been doing this for a long time. So that was great. No, it's I'm good. Yeah, it's release week, which is fun, stressful, lots of things to do that I haven't done. Some of it I need to do. But yeah, it's good. It's really good. How about you both? You good?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
good. Very, very excited for the release of this record. There's 4 singles so far. And
Yeah,
they've all
about
been
that.
they've all been absolute thumpers. And
sir.
I went through all the videos today, and they've all got a very similar vibe. Dark, shadowy. Was it done with the same people?
Yeah, so, Villain Arc wasn't, but that came out bloody ages ago, which is wild because that's just the world we live in now, and people like consuming music, so you want to get music out. So Villain Arc's like older, but yeah, the rest is done by Zach Pinchin from the wonderful band Modern Era.
Fantastic.
We've worked with Zach before and wanted to support him with this album as well, so he also did the album artwork, did all the videos and the visualizers. So yeah, he's definitely had his mark on the artistic side of the record. So that's good.
Oh, nice. It's nice. It's nice when you get to this part of the album campaign, right? Just before everything, you've been building up for so long. Just so people at home realize, like, what does a week like this actually entail for you? Because it's kind of pushing everything, trying to get the last little things behind the scene all ticked off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's like, I mean, it's exciting in general. I think there's like the problem is when you're in a band and those that are in it know it, like you record probably well in advance. There's been whole things. It's changed a little bit now, but for a long period of time, like the vinyls were that was the screwing factor, which was, it's going to take you a year and a bit to get vinyls out, which just blows my mind. I mean, what kind of industry can you monopolize a year and a half lead-in time? So that would kind of, and vinyls is such a big part of it because they're such a good opportunity for people to buy physical records. you know, we know the kind of generation that we're in now where it comes to like the CDs, and it's just not as an attractive thing. Whereas vinyl's obviously had a huge resurgence for people collecting them and different variants, and people will buy 6 of the same album because they're collectible and all of those kind of things. So obviously it's still a big part of the picture. So obviously you have like that. So you write, record, or pre-production, record if you're lucky. You like wait, time, release the first single, wait, release the next single, on and on we go. And by the time we've heard mixes and masters of it and all sorts of kind of different variants, by the time you get to release it, you're kind of like, oh my God, that's like a year and a bit ago that we actually stepped in the studio, a year and a half ago that we stepped in the studio. So when it comes out, you're kind of like, oh, yeah. So I'm actually going back this week and listening to some of the songs because I'm like, some of them I have not listened to. And there's for no reason that I just don't sit and listen to my own band, which would be a bit weird. But so go back and listen to it. And it's kind of like, it's a validation process, isn't it? So, and then, yeah, as you said, some of the logistics stuff, like, you know, making sure the comms are as live as they've been, making sure you're doing all the press, making sure you're kind of, you know, getting the things boxed off, because next week goes into hyperdrive essentially, where you're like, are we going to chart? Who knows? And then off you go. You're doing all of that kind of stuff. To them, probably not chart, but you know, it is what it is.
You will. You will. I'm sure you will. Yeah, it's a very, very exciting time. What are the couple of things you've got left? Basically, this chat is going to come out Friday when the album is released. What things currently, now it being Wednesday, it's giving behind the scenes magic away.
It's not even Wednesday, it's Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, wishing the week away.
Yeah, wow, yeah. What have you done? Yeah, what are you going to do between Tuesday and Wednesday? No. Yeah, what little things have you got left to do before it comes out Friday?
I think it's just press, really, which is actually quite nice because you get to kind of talk about it and get people's thoughts on it, you know, which is awesome. Start to see some of the reviews start to roll out, and either wholeheartedly disagree with them or agree with them. It's up to you. You can choose, and that's my artistic license to do what I want with that. But then we're kind of gearing up because we've got Saturday, we're playing Kingston Prism, which seems like the staple place now for album releases. It's because you can sell loads of albums for tickets, which is great. So gearing up for that, but we've been in America for 5 weeks, so I'm not really too worried about like live show or stuff like that. It'll be fine. And we're well oiled in that regard because it's been, you know, done the whole of the States now. So again, so yeah, kind of getting ready. And I also work at the NHS, so doing that as well. So I came from there, finished my last meeting at 5:20, drove at 5:30 to here, half an hour drive. Just got in, not in time, but got in close to the time, which is good for me. But yeah, it's that kind of world as well. So yeah, just doing all of that as well.
Jeez, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time because you are a very, very busy man. You've been on a few times, but never on your own. So it's nice, and we're going to get into a lot of different things for you personally. But like, how do you manage to balance all that? Because with your NHS work, that's a very taxing thing. It's a very mentally draining and physically draining thing, as well as doing the band. And when you have a touring cycle like you've been having the last few years in particular, where everything seems to have gone up another level, how do you kind of balance it? Is it kind of just like a juggling act at this point, or do you actually have a method behind the madness?
Yeah, I think for a long time it was juggling. I think that was like the hard bit, but equally, like, I've seen a rise in both of things. I'm very lucky in when things have kind of slotted into place. So I saw my NHS career like kind of jump up massively during COVID, which is obviously the perfect time to do that because we weren't doing anything as a band. So it was the first time in my life since 2000. I also don't have annual leave, so I don't go on holiday. My last holiday was my honeymoon in 2018. So legitimately, I haven't gone to, you know, your Spain jaunts or your Portugal jaunts, or he says as very middle class sounding, but you know, I just don't do it, you know. So my wife is very understanding, which is also very lucky. And she kind of goes on holiday with friends or family and stuff like that. Because otherwise obviously she'd go crazy not going on holiday. But all of mine is used on the band. which is my choice, and lots of people talk to me about that in the NHS as well, about how can you not have like a holiday? Like you're still working, those that understand that it's work, not me going off to America, swanning about and doing nothing. But I also, I'm super lucky. Like I'm privileged enough that, I've got to a position within the organization or organizations that I work for that I'm a senior leader now. So can kind of manage that in that way. Like it would be really bad if I have a team underneath me that when I went away, they crumbled. Like, so the whole point is that I can get them to a point where they are able to do my job if they need to, and step in. Equally, I do remote working. So the crazy times when it's things like doing UK or European shows, I will remote work. So I'll get up at 7:00 and I'll work from 7 until 4, and I'll then do sound check, and I might pick up some more emails, and then I'll do the show, and then I'll go to bed at like 12 and then repeat. And I did that on the last UK Europe headliner, did it on the previous one before that. And that is particularly wild because you tend to have shows on the weekend. So in that, you then just end up, I think the most I did was like 3.5 weeks with not a single day off, not an off day from. So on my off days on tour, I'd then be working all day. So I'd do a full day. So yeah, it's that's where it gets like hairy, where you're like, oh, okay. But it's life, isn't it? Like life is made about the choices. Like I don't have to necessarily do the job I do, but it also helps. I love the job that I do for the NHS. And now I work in diversity and inclusion, which is obviously much more linked to the world or the ethos specifically that BT is trying to create about safety and community, and trying to make our fan base a safe environment for anybody, irrespective of their protected characteristics. Like that, I can talk about that then and say, well, it's not this huge juxta of going from me on stage to me in the office. Obviously, I'm not standing on the stage and telling everyone to get the fuck up when I'm at work. But there is, not that I've ever used the words "get the fuck up." That sounds awful. Or am I Slipknot in the 90s? But it's easier to it's easier to decompartmentalize, which I think the mental load part of it is the really hard bit, where you're like, holy crap, I just played in front of, it might be 1,000 people, or download 50,000 people on a Saturday, and then back to work on the Monday, getting chewed out for something I don't love. Like, so it is hard and it is difficult, but it's kind of, it is what it is, isn't it?
Do you have anything or any outlets for yourself away from the job, away from music, that kind of helps you get away from that? Because I don't see where you find the time otherwise.
Yeah, I've shared it a lot online recently, but I've gone through like a bit of a kind of fitness journey, and which has been really good, because I was one of these people that was like, I don't have time to do it. I almost like reveled in what people were saying, like similar to what you just said, Morgan. Like I'd revel in that then and be like, no, I don't have time to do anything. I couldn't possibly go to the gym because I don't have time. And it's like, it's a false, a lot of the time when people say that, it's projection or perception really, that of course I do. I've made time. And so I literally built it in. I made time every other day. Sometimes I'll go 5-6 times a week, and I just build it in, and I'm like, right, that's going to be my time. I'm going to go to the gym, smash some weights for an hour and a half. And anybody can find an hour and a half. You can find 40 minutes, you can find 20 minutes to move. People can. It's just we don't, because we look at our lives compacted and we go, oh, it's so busy. But it's like de-stringing all of that stuff and being like, oh no, look at that space in time where I was sat on my ass watching TV. Well, then I can go to the gym. So that does really help. And now I've got into training whilst I'm away a lot as well, which is really good. Because that gives me, when I was in America, I trained every day. So I'd go and find a gym, play the system massively, because they all have day passes that are free. So I'd just play the system. And that was really good, because a lot of the band now, most of us now, are into that. So Jacko, our drummer's gone through a huge fitness journey. Dab is huge fitness journeys, and Ed, Tom, and Duas all are into it. So it's a far cry away from what we were, which was, I was a skinny run and everybody was drinking and partying and having a great time. Now it's very much we're all about our fitness. So that's really helpful, I think.
Good. Yeah. Nice to see. It's I'm glad you're looking after yourselves because, so many fucking bands don't, and then they end up a right fucking mess later on. So, glad to see you taking care of yourself.
Do you think that's all brought you, like, not closer together, but just helped the kind of dynamic of touring a lot? Because you guys have been doing this for so long, it can get stale when you just rock up to the venue, fucking sound check, hang about for a bit, try and find the Wi-Fi, play the show. Like, at least, like, with all this in between the band, do you have kind of a more of a camaraderie for something else as well?
Yeah, I think it helps. Yeah, I think it's good. Like, it'd be a bit more boring. It'd probably be more boring on the actual thing that I was doing. If I go to the gym on my own anyway. But like when we're away, like we obviously go as a group, and that's really cool. Sometimes we end up just all training separately in the same gym. So it is what it is. But there is that camaraderie. But I also think, I know we've spoken about it before, all the changes and all the differences, and we're trying to not get away from it necessarily, hide away from the fact that we've been through significant changes. Significant change happened 3.5 years ago. So it's like the relevance of us talking about it. But it'd be remiss not to say that obviously the changes in our band post-pandemic, like, it meant that all of those things are first. So like going and doing a sound check is not a chore, and even things like America, like, we're not that big in the States at all. Like, it's really an emerging market for us massively. And we're basically starting from zero. And that's awesome. Like, it's great that we can be out there touring and playing for less people, but like feeling that almost like, holy crap, like this feels like when I was playing Germany back in like 2011, and I started to see those same people start to come back, and you're starting to now go from a crowd of 50 people to 100 people to 200 people to 400 people, and on and on and on. And it feels like that in the States for us now, which we can now see the joy in it because the camp is so happy and enthused and just enjoying it. Like, we do like 25,000 steps, 30 steps on every city we play, because we're like, let's go and walk and find something and look at something and do something. Obviously not in UK, Europe, because I'm working, but like all the other guys do. Like, it's renowned. Dorse will look up the most obscure record store. And it's like, how far away is it? Oh, it's 9.6 miles away. I'm going to walk. And you're like, okay, see you at soundcheck then. And it's now 7 a.m. But yeah, and that is what it's about, isn't it? Like, we're so lucky to be able to do what we do. We're so lucky that I'm talking to you on our 8th album cycle. Next year is 20 years of me being in Bury Tomorrow. Like, there are bands that are just as, if not more talented, that have had the success on really there, that have folded and not been able to get to the position that we're getting in and growing. Like, which is unreal. Like, our ticket sales are more than what they've ever been. Our album sales are more than what they've ever been. And we're making steps into new markets that we've never had strangleholds over. And it's our 8th album, and it doesn't compute to me. So the minute it starts computing and it's an expectation, that's the day I'll hang up the proverbial microphone or whatever. Yeah.
I was just about to say, it was absolutely beautiful then to hear you talk about all of that, and yeah, just your attitude towards it. Like you said about like going to America and playing to new crowds. I love it. Like, I'm doing it with my band Raiders at the moment. Like, we're playing to hardly anybody. And yeah, I just love it. I love the trying to win people over and the excitement of it. And yeah, and like you said, 8th album, like, getting bigger. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, normally, like, if a band's doing an 8th album, it's like we peaked at 5 and then, we're just trying to keep it going. But you were getting bigger every fucking day, and I absolutely love it.
I appreciate it. No, and I appreciate, people like yourselves that continue to support us. And I have seen that, with this album, it does seem like it feels slightly different. It feels not like a conversation about if it's going to connect. It's how big is it going to connect, which is awesome. Like, that's great. And whatever it does, it's cool. Like, it's already surpassed the expectations that we had of our album. So, that's going to be great. But we'll see. Carl Bound keeps texting me and telling me that it's going to be like huge. And I'm like, Carl, you've just produced Sleep Token. Don't talk to me about don't talk to me about what huge is. All right. They're not in the same worlds of huge here. So let's define what we mean. Okay. But I'm stoked he's excited.
Carl, get your head out of the clouds. Come down from there.
Yeah,
Come
I'm
down
like,
from
"Come
there
on."
with Sleep Talk and talk to us about us, please.
Yeah, but he talks to me about it. It's just mental. Like, Dan, the album's going to be massive. It's going to be so huge. I can't wait for it. And I'm just like, your definition of huge must be, what do you say is Sleep Token? You must say that ginormous or gigantic. I was like, what adjectives are you using for this this unbelievably big band? But yeah, it's great that people are excited about it. It's awesome.
Well, I think it's a really interesting time for the band just in itself anyway, and especially when you get to reflect on moments like this, because you alluded to there like some of the lineup changes a few years ago, but since then there does seem to have been such a new rejuvenated hype for the band and within it behind the scenes as well. You seem hungrier. The albums you've put out have made that connection. There's all this hype towards this release. For you, like, what do you put that down to? Like, how do you see the band today compared to when you all started 20 years ago?
I think we're better. Like, it sounds really arrogant, but like it's really interesting when I see comparisons between, pre-change and post-change. And there's always going to be, you can't get away from it. And any band that gets really overtly kind of hung up on it and upset about the fact that people are going to say you either sound better or you sound worse than what you did prior or post, like, they're gonna, because people love to have an opinion on something and they love for it to be based in minutiae of detail for them to make it sound like it's a fact. Like, I saw loads of things about us not touring the States and it's because of this reason, and I know it's because of this reason, because my auntie knows a cousin who talks to this person in the pub and that was what the reason was. It's utter nonsense. Nobody knows the facts and figures about why we changed as a band. We've alluded to bits and pieces, but we've also been incredibly respectful and I believe dignified in the fact that it's our business. It's our business. It's not for us to drag anybody. We want to just change and it be what it would be. However, that being said, we also have a responsibility that our fans have invested time and money and effort into our band prior. So I'm not going to get hung up on the fact that people have got favorite albums. People talk to me about Portraits like it's this revered golden egg. It's the golden goose of metalcore albums. And it's hilarious. And the only reason why they do it is because it's not on Spotify. No, it's my album that I loved. It's the best album you've ever written. I'm just like, I wrote that when I was 17 years old. There is no bloody way that that's the best album I've ever done. Not a chance. You might like it the most, but you only revere it because it's a cool, I think majority of people revere because it's a cool thing to say that your first album and that's not on Spotify is the big thing. However, it's like, I think for us, like, we are better as a band. We're better live, undoubtedly. And I know that for a fact. As a musician, I listen to, are we surpassing a record with our live set? Yes, absolutely. Every night. And I think that is because we take in pride in doing so, and we're taking steps to make sure we do that. So we're being militant, and it might be some of it's about our physical fitness and being able to do that. It's about crafting our live set so it feels better. It's about the production elements. It's all of those things that make up why your band will get bigger and better, is because you're putting in the effort to make it get bigger and better. And I think when you get into this trap of like, oh, we're getting big, and I say big perceptually, but we're getting bigger. And then you get into this trap of like, but we're doing all the right things, so we don't need to put any more effort into it. And it's like, no, that's the bad mindset to get into. You always got to think about the next step and what you want to do. And we did that. And we, and then to have like Ed and Tom come into the band, who are unbelievably positive, incredible human beings, who are also super talented in their own right. So Dorse has been the primary songwriter for a long, long time since he joined the band. And now he can relinquish some of that. You know, he can trust Ed to write loads of the new album. On the previous album, there's a couple of like riffs, and one or two of the songs were primarily based on what Ed wrote. On this album, Ed's got whole songs that he wrote. Tom writes so much of our music. As a producer, he can play guitar, drums, he can obviously sing, he can scream. So we're kind of there with like, it's just opened up a world of opportunity for us to kind of go, let's try and test things. Let's make things a little bit different. Let's have fun doing it. And I think that's the biggest thing for us, is the fun element. Like, you'll get better if you're having fun doing it, because you're not worried about, oh, is it going to sound like this, or is it going to be bad live or whatever. You're just kind of like, I know it's going to be good live. I know it. So I can relinquish that fear of that. And then in the other aspect of it, I can be like, well, now let's plow the effort into the things that are the unknown, which is the new places to go or the new live sets or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's just fun. It's really fun to be in a band. It's fun to watch people that haven't necessarily experienced the things that you have, you know. And Sean, I don't know if you get this with Raiders, but the stuff that you did with, you know, and the success that you have with Blackout. Like, I think, you know, you look back and it's so invigorating watching somebody who maybe hasn't potentially experienced those things be like,
yeah,
oh, it's the first time to America. Oh my God. Or the first time headline in Germany. And that was insane. And it's easier to get jaded, I think, than it and used to that than it isn't to not, and to be like, whoa, like find joy in the little things, you know. And I say little things, headline Cologne and played in front of 3,500 people, joy in the little things. But it's like, you know, it's those kind of things, I think. And I love watching Tom and Ed be like, whoa, like we've gone to Japan for the first time, or I've been 5 times, like gone to Australia for the first time. Oh my God, like that's insane. So that's fun as well to watch, you know.
I had the exact same experience, right? When the bassist in Raiders, Ryan, he's only ever been in really covers bands before he joined Raiders. We supported Funeral for a Friend at Shepherd's Bush Empire, and
nice.
he'd never played a venue to more than like 50 people who were just baying for Wonderwall. And then all of a sudden he had 2,500 Funeral for a Friend fans in front of him, and he was just like, look at it. And I was just looking at him all the way through the gig, just laughing, going, look at it. He doesn't know what, I'm living through him now. But yeah, I completely get it. Yeah, what's it like having a producer in the band then? Because I've never been that lucky. I would love that. But yeah, has it made things a lot easier for you? Is it harder? Is he more involved in?
Yeah, I think it makes it easier all round, really, that you've got somebody that does this as a profession, right? And it really helps with translating sometimes producer speak as well. So like when we're like mixing and mastering, like I don't have a clue what hurts something's in that's causing it to sound a little bit weird. I'll be like, oh, it sounds a little bit fuzzy there. That might be that. And Tom's like, no, it's this. I'm like, okay, cool. Fine, you deal with that. But I think I think what Tom does as well. So Tom does a lot of kind of soundscape stuff. He does music for TV shows and movies and games and stuff like that. That's kind of his primary producing job. And that I think really helps us as well, because he can weave elements of the commerciality into our music from an electronic perspective, but also not then be hindered by being spent because he's produced a load of metal bands and he's had to help them write the songs. And now when it comes to writing us, because you do have a finite amount of kind of energy in that space, don't you? And like, if you were suddenly writing back-to-back albums, maybe some for you, some not for you, you'll just end up giving away potentially some of your best ideas. And I think the fact that he can immerse himself in soundscape world and then step back and kind of be like, okay, now this is Bury Tomorrow in a metal band, I think that really helps. It helps because he can play all the instruments as well. So like, obviously he can demo something and it not sound really janky and weird because he just plays it in. He plays all the guitar riffs in, and he's like, and yes, all of those guitar riffs, undoubtedly Dawson Ed will go over and make them theirs, because that's only fair that they would do that. But it just helps to give a really good basis at a demo level to be like, now I can get excited about it and write my vocals over it. And yeah, so it's I think undoubtedly it's really, really good. And equally, he's not a prick, so he's a really
that does help.
He's a really lovely guy. So in that, you could have a real prick producer that, you know, would potentially be like, well, I know better than everyone. Tom is like Tom's too nice. I'll give you an anecdote. Tom was walking down. We were walking down Venice Beach, as you do. Name drop, and he. Like one of the guys would like, there's a lot for anyone that hasn't been to Venice Beach. There's kind of an anti-push against gentrification, and there's a lot of kind of, it's like very community based. But there's also people that are hustling hard on the street, and it is quite intense, especially on like weekends and stuff down Venice Beach. And this guy was like selling his CDs, so you know where this is going. So Tom always speaks to someone if they speak back to him. I'm like a little bit more like, I'm watching out. I'm like, what's their agenda? Like, and I'll get a bit grumpy. And so I'm like, no chance. He's like, so mate, can I talk to you about your CD? I was like, not a chance. See you later. I was like, have a good day, mate. And bypassed him. And Tom goes, stops. And I was like, no.
Oh, no.
And so then Tom goes, he goes, yeah, like I've got a CD that I want to sell you. And Tom's like, no, like we're good. Like, and then he's like, like, what is the CD? And I'm like, no, the CD's probably got nothing on it. This wasn't a legitimate transaction, put it that way. That CD had nothing on it. And then he shook his hand, and then the guy grabbed his hand and was like, oh, you're not going to do me like that, are you? And ended up weaseling Tom out of like $20 or something. And his mate came over. So you just got hustled basically real hard. But that is Tom in general. Like on the first ever show we ever played with Tom, I remember bear in mind that our old regime was not like this. We were in a bad place for a long time. But Slam Dunk we played, and everyone was like freaking out because it's the first show as the new lineup. First show playing any songs off Cannibal. We'd only ever played The Grey off Cannibal. So we're playing a whole new set. First time using video screen production ever. Headlining a stage at Slam Dunk. So we're like, everyone is freaking. Jeez. We had about 12 panic attacks each before the show. And we also haven't played a show for a year and a half because of pandemic. And I remember like being like, where is everyone? So I'm like walking over, and it was at Leeds. So it had the crest of the hill. Is it Leeds or Hatfield? No, Leeds, yeah. And walking over the kind of crest of the grass hill, and I see Tom, like, and I'm like, is that Tom? And he's got like 10 coffees in his hand, and they're like piled up. It's mad how he balanced them all, and he's struggling his way over the field. And bear in mind, like from tent stages to like where the catering, it's a long walk. It's a good mile. And he's like, I'm like, what are you doing? Has someone asked you to do that? He's like, oh no, I just thought everyone's waking up, they're going to want a coffee in the morning, and he's carrying all these coffees. And I was literally like, you are it. And he's still like that. Like 3 years later, that is stuff that he does. But yeah, it is great to have him. So he's not a prick, is essentially it.
Yeah. What a keeper. Yeah, what a keeper. I thought you were going to say you found him behind some bins being sick with nerves. But
in Barnsley, yeah, it might be a possibility to be honest with you at that point.
Fair play to him, though. Balancing that many coffees, that's a talent in itself. He's a part of the circus.
Yeah.
Is there a way you incorporate that into the live show? Just a little bit of balancing act for some reason. Like
he does a lot, doesn't he? Because he also does keys, and he does drums, and he screams, and he sings, and so he's already doing quite a bit. But yeah, I'll ask him. I'll say Morgan said, so he can do a bit of a juggle.
Yeah, just the once. Next time I'm there, just the once, just for me.
Middle of choke breakdown when we extend it. Just get him to start juggling. See if anyone notices.
Yeah, just breaks out to one guitar on his own, and then he can just get a... You could set up next to his keyboard, you could set up a coffee making facility, and he could be making the coffees while it's fucking... Here we go.
I mean, we do have a drum tech called Josh Murphy, and he's just put up the legend Josh Murphy, and he just put up a video of his he had a GoPro, and he talks about the life of like a drum tech, which is really cool actually, because he films it. It's like an hour and a half of just what he does, and halfway through the set he makes margaritas, and it's absolutely hilarious because you just see him set it all up prior, and we don't see half of this stuff because it just happens in the day. So he's like setting up his shaker and all of the little things. And then halfway through the set, he's just like, and then he comes and delivers it when we do the encore bit. And it's just so fucking funny. But yeah, perfect. I'm going to ask Tom to do that. So
good. All right, I'm looking forward to that eventually on the tour. But I feel like, as you mentioned, next year in 2026 is the 20th anniversary of starting this band and the journey it has been on throughout it. When you put out a new record and people mention these kind of statistics, is it weird to think back on how basically half of your life has been this band and just how much you've grown up in the scene?
Yeah, it's I mean, all of my life has been. So my entire adult life, and since I was 16. So it is hard to retrospectively look back on it. It's really difficult because all memories start to kind of blur, other than the big kind of junctures of 2010 going to the States, 2000 and then being dropped from a label in 2011, Union coming out and Lionheart and all of that kind of stuff, I think is another big juncture. So you have like moments like same as like Black Flame coming out for us, then boosted us in Germany to be in a band that was arguably bigger than what we are now, bigger than in Germany than we are in the UK, and Tom and Ed joining, going to the States again. So I like see it like that almost. And it's mad when you have those reflective moments and you think like, you know, I was touring Europe when I was 16, wrote Casting Shapes when I was 17. And like, sometimes it's also when you relive those experiences that you then have like, again, so going back to the States, for example, when you have like those amazing moments where you're just like, geez, I did this in 2010 3 times. I spent 6 months in the States in 2010, you know, and God knows what we actually look like, because I've seen some videos and it's bloody awful. So thank God we got a second chance to do it. But it's also, you know, we had a big moment when we went back to Australia, because last time we went to Australia prior to that, because we've only been once with the band and now 3 times. But before that, like when we were in our old kind of camp, we went and we did Ike the Prom Queen, The Ghost Inside, In Hearts Wake, us and Hellions went and did a tour, and it was a massive regional tour in the States. So it was like all over the place. Like we're talking like we played Katoomba, Wodonga, Byron Bay, Coolangatta, like the Gold Coast, then Sydney, Brisbane, blah, blah, blah. And it went on for like 4 weeks. And then, which is mad to go to Australia for 4 weeks as a band. You're like, it's unheard of. You go for a week and maybe 10 days if you fancy having a holiday after. And so we did that. And then our last show, so we did the tour and then we had a week off, and then we did our own headline run on like some of the kind of club shows, and club nights specifically. That's the level we were at. We were playing club nights and people didn't want to see us. And then we did a headliner in Brizzy, which was in front of like 15 people. And it was in a practice studios, and there was more bands than there were people. And I just remember, and then we came back, and I remember we flew back from that and we headlined Birmingham Institute, sold it out. And it was 3 days after. And I remember just being like, the world is a mad place. Like, and Australia, we're obviously not very big, and that's okay, like, because it's a beautiful place. Next time we went back with Ed and Tom, when they joined the band, we headlined Brizzy, and we sold out we sold out the inside venue at 500, and we sold out the outside venue, I think, at like 800. We sold 1,000 tickets in Melbourne as a headline band. And it's just like the last time we played Melbourne was at Bang. I think it's called Bang, as a club night. And there was like 25 people there. And it's like, that's the moment where you kind of go, okay. And like, I do a lot in like leadership in the NHS and talk about the mountain. So I talk about equality as like a mountain, but it's the same as progression in a band and artistry. There's never an end goal. Like the mountain is never ending. And the problem is, if you're chasing the view at the top, you're just going to be a really bloody boring walk up, because all you're going to see is the rocks in front of you, and you're just going to trudge all the way up the rocks. Oh no, I've got to get to the top. I've got to be the best. I've got to be better than these people on the way up. And the view is actually really nice when you walk up a mountain, quite far up it. So it's really important for you to take those moments to be able to kind of sit and turn around for a moment and stop, make a little camp and have a look about how far you've come. Because even if it's a mile, that's a mile further up. And then on you go. And to look back over 20 years and be like, you know, not thinking what could we have done, because there's loads of stuff we could have done, but I can't change that now. Like, what can we do in the future and learn from? Absolutely, I've got power of control over. But when it comes to like what we've done, I mean, let's take the highlights. You know, we've eight albums, toured the world, managed to make it a sustainable career, done it over a global pandemic and survived it. Like, it's wild. Like, so yeah, you can't sit with anything but gratitude about, you know, the opportunities we've been presented, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to look at it. And especially you mentioned it earlier that, like, you know, a lot of bands have broken up over less. A lot of bands have not had the opportunities over less things. And it's the fact that, you know, you look at different territories, you look at like even just the journey you mentioned there in Australia and Germany or whatever, like, it's just weird and wonderful how you can think like, oh, okay, cool, we've established this bit here, and then go to a completely different place and there'll be less or more than, but those moments have obviously kept you kind of grounded and wanted you to push on more.
Yeah, they make you better bands. I said this to the guys about the States, like because you're at a certain profile, you get booked in certain size venues. It's just the way it is. And, you know, if we were playing 200 cap rippers in the States, we'd have like the most insane time and we'd sell them all out. But, you know, we're a band that's trying to push a certain level of production and we get booked in massive venues and you're like, we're not worth that. But I think there's a realism there that actually we will, you know, and we will get there. And and that's the bit that's different. Like you can have all the gratitude in the world, but you also need the perseverance to be like, right, keep doing it, keep trudging at it. If you believe you've got a product and you're starting to see growth, irrespective of how big or small that growth is, keep going. And just keep doing it because it will come back around. And if it's converting 1 or 2 fans, or it's turning 1 to 100 fans, or it's converting 1,000 fans a night, like you're still gaining numbers, you're still gaining traction. And if you can make that financially viable, that's the win. And we're talking about this with like Electric Callboy. You know, we're obviously going out with Electric Callboy doing arenas, which is our first arena tour, which is amazing. So that's a first for us. We've never done it. And to go out with our friends in Electric Callboy, who we know are awesome and they treat us really, really well, and we're good friends. And it's around places like Germany, which is really important. Like it's not, they took us out to the States and they took us out to the States just for a whim. They were like, no, we really like Bury Tomorrow. Don't really care what they're worth, head support. And we played on a rooftop in the middle of New York. And, you know,
wow.
We played Boston Fenway Park, like, and they just took us out because they are legends and they really wanted to throw us a bone and they paid us well to do it, which was awesome. And it was a great time. But that solidified our friendship with those guys. And I think then it was like, no, we're going to do it proper because we're worth tickets, you know, and we're definitely worth tickets in Europe. And so they were like, right, head support, off you go. And we were talking about it and it's like, I don't think that's going to be an easy tour. Like you'd be like sat there going, oh, well, of course it is. You're playing in front of, one of the shows is 26,000 people. One of them just sold out. One of them just, yeah, one of them just sold out. Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? So one of them just sold out. Like Leipzig is just sold out at, bear in mind, this is in November and it sold out last month before we went to the States, and it's like 19,000 sold out. They sold out Ali Pali a month and a half ago. So they could easily do, I mean, they can do O2 without even worrying. Bear in mind that in Oslo, they're going to put O2 plus Brixton in one venue. Like they're huge. But everyone's like, oh, you know, that's going to be really good. It's going to be easy. And it's like arena tours are notoriously not easy because it got a long time to get people in. And a lot of people are there to have an evening and then see the band that they want to see. And also Electric Callboy are an anomaly. People will buy tickets to see them not caring who's supporting or probably not coming to see who's supporting. But I said to the guys, like, yeah, but the conversion rate, I was like, we might have a hard time and it might be difficult and it might not be mad and insane and everyone's like popping off pyrotechnics in the middle of the pit and everyone's going wild. But actually, if you convert 10% of those people and you add them to our existing fan base, that's crazy numbers. So I think sometimes you do have to think about it as a business like that, where you're like, you know, take the opportunities to push yourself forward. And in that, you kind of like, you then get better as a band. And again, as you said, Sean, about the States and like, you know, what we've had as well. Like, I'm not saying that we're not playing in front of a good amount of people, but like it makes you better because I'm like, I know why I became a frontman, because I became a frontman to move these people and make them feel like they got their money's worth. So if I can do that in an arena and do that in a 500 cap venue, well then, or 100 cap venue or in front of 50 people, like it makes it you better because I can then talk to an arena like I'm talking to them and not be jaded of being like, oh, I'll just go through the motions, you know? So it's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's good. Again, it's another good way to look at it because the turnover is something really, really important with those kind of things. With it being a time where you can reflect, when you think back to kind of that like 16-year-old obsessed music fan who was posting selfies on MySpace, do you think is like one of those moments that if he found out you got to do since would really hit home with like the 16-year-old in you is like, I can't believe we managed to do that?
Yeah, I think just the touring and seeing, the biggest thing that holds the most currency in my mind is experiencing the world. Like I could say the arena tour, like that is, of course, there's going to be moments on that arena tour where I'm going to be like, what the hell is happening? But I'll be experiencing that and going, what the hell is happening as a 35-year-old man? You know, I won't be thinking about, 16-year-old me. I'll be thinking, this is mental for me right now. But I think when you reflect on it, you know, what holds the biggest weight in currency? You know, I'd seen half the world before I was 21, you know, and I toured the world and toured in front of fans around the world before I was 21. And I think that was massive in my forming years of my worldview and how I appreciate difference and diversity and yearn to know about different cultures and backgrounds and environments. And I think a lot of that came through that formative part, you know, which was appreciating different cultures and having to interact with people from different backgrounds, irrespective of the characteristics they hold. And I think that's held the most currency for me. And if it was to all end tomorrow, hopefully not just before an album campaign, but if it was to all end tomorrow,
dreadful. That'd
be like 2 days to go. Wait a couple of days. End on Sunday. End next week when we chart. But it's a, you know, I like the positive reframe there, wasn't it? When we, it's just a thing.
Manifesting.
Yeah,
it's a
I'll
big
manifest it. If it was to end, you know, soon, I think that's the bit, innit? That's the bit that you tell people that, like, and you don't need to gloat and brag about it, but it will be influential in how you approach life. So, you know, if someone's talking about, what's it like, you know, I'm going to this place or I don't know what it's like. I mean, I can tell people street names in Germany. I can guide people around all the cities that we play because we've played them about 20, 30, 40 times. Like, same as Japan, I can tell you how to walk from Shibuya to Shinjuku and all of the kind of like different places that you can go in Harajuku, and the fact there's a shrine across the road from Harajuku, but you've got to go over this road and jump over that. I can tell you that. And I could tell you that before the last time you visited because I've been there a lot. And that is, it's just worth its weight. You know, you can see the world and see the beauty in a lot of the different parts of the States, different parts of the world. And the States is one of those things that I found really interesting this time around, because I was going there like, right, you're ahead of EDI and you're going to the States. And I talk about inclusion on stage, have done for a long time, and do like a kind of speech about it, about protected characteristics. And I thought, right, like, I've got to think carefully about this. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know whether that's going to create a hostile environment. I don't really care about it. For me, it will be what it will be. But I also care about not creating a hostile environment for people who are in the crowd, who are outwardly expressing their personality and their wishes. But I went there and it was really interesting because I was going with this preconception and it's going to be like this. And I found, certainly in the places that we were, including red states, you know, played Texas, played Florida, played Tennessee, went to New Orleans, like all of these like places that are notorious in that way. And the social justice element was so prevalent, more than it had been that I'd seen in other times. So I've been there in the Obama regime, Biden regime, and Trump regime. And I just found it really interesting to see the good that was, and I'm not saying that people aren't experiencing horrific things, because they absolutely are, and there are absolutely extremism, but it's almost like because the government was so batshit crazy that people have to like talk about it and have to push out about it and have to be like, hey, no, this is my opinion on this and you are welcome and we do love you and you are a human being. And that was really nice to see. So back to the kind of question of like, how does that impact like me when I think about younger me? Like, that is a perspective that you would never have got if I hadn't had the opportunity to be in the band, because I'd always have that preconception of what that place is going to potentially be like, you know? So it's just, yeah. And I think that's worth more than anything really. Other than if the album goes platinum, and then it's worth lots of money. So that's probably worth the money. It's never going to go platinum ever. Well, and I'll never recoup.
you say that. It only takes one. You never know.
I probably still wouldn't recoup at that point, to be honest with you. Why do you keep making music videos? God damn it.
That's the thing. But while you're on about that kind of like world traveling and those different experiences, I think that is a big part of how maybe your lyrics have changed over the years, right? And just being able to reach a place and maybe talk about stuff or write stuff that you wouldn't have a few years ago. Do you see a big change in that when you compare new songs to old, or is it like just the way you've approached lyrics or it has worked for you has changed that much?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of all of those things. really. I think, it's an experience thing. It's a maturity thing. It's realizing what you're wanting to kind of say, feeling that you have the freedom of expression to be able to say what you want to say. Having the junctures in our career where I've been able to flip and readdress something different. It's almost like akin to being in a new band, almost like we've experienced some of that a number of times in the band, actually. So that's kind of like I can be free. I can imagine, I don't know because I've not done it, but I can imagine it feels very similar when you create a new band, when you're kind of like, hey, I can do whatever now. And that's scary, but it's also like freeing because you're like, I can be now what I want to be, that potentially, even if it's not that anybody's putting that pressure on you, put the pressure on yourself. So I think that's helped because we've had a series of times that I can be like, oh, I can reinvent my way I write a little bit. And, big junctures for us was Cannibal. Cannibal was massive for us switching, or certainly myself switching what I was talking about. The subject matter was less about metaphors and more about self. And it was massively about my own journey with mental health. And it was the most open album that I've ever recorded, even to date. The Seventh Son and Will You Haunt Me With That Same Patience definitely isn't as self-reflective. It's almost like Cannibal is like an autobiography kind of in lyric terms. So that was a big junction. I think that then opened the floodgates. I had to do the really extreme version of it to then be able to weave now some of that stuff into my music quite comfortably. Like I can talk about really bleak and brutal places that my mind's gone because I've gone as far as I can possibly go and write an entire album. How bloody self-indulgent can you get? But do that and move that into a place where I can now pick and choose whether a song is about a subject matter or myself or how I view things or an experience or what I see in the world. And that's just from doing it for so long. Erring on the side of never doing the classic metalcore songs of we're all in this together, we can rise up and all of that kind of stuff, because we don't do them, and I haven't done them for a long time since Portraits. But yeah, it's a maturity thing, I think. And the subject matter changes, doesn't it? Your worldview changes, and it'd be really crap if I couldn't weave that into my lyrics, and so, yeah, I think, and also my influences have changed, and the people I look up to have changed. It's not looking up to the bands that are necessarily going to get you to the next level. You might do that in your music and the sonic part of it, of being like, oh, well, this is really current, so we might want to kind of think about our style, and that's what we've done many times to try and stay current. But the people I look up to as lyricists are not the biggest bands in the scene. Like, apart from Maynard and Tool, who Tool are, they're doing all right. Maynard does all right. Yeah. But I look up to people like La Dispute and Here's Legend, and like these are the bands that I look at as the greatest lyricists of all time. La Dispute are like one of the best bands of all time, single only band that's not my own that I've got tattooed on my body. I have King Park lyric, which is Can I Still Get Into Heaven tattooed on my stomach, which is the only other band that I've got tattooed on me.
Wow.
Because I love them. And I think the way that they invoke emotion is something that I really want to progress Bury Tomorrow into, really extending into that. And What If I Burn on the new album is almost like a love letter to the stylistic nature of La Dispute. Like if you listen to the first verse, it's melodic hardcore, undoubtedly. And that is because of their influence on me. And I'm proud to say it, and happy to say it. We don't sound like La Dispute. We're never going to be like necessarily on big tours with La Dispute, but what I can do is show how I respect that style of music, and I would love to kind of extend it now, which is quite nice to be able to do.
Yeah. Of course.
Like, are we ever likely to see you taking His Legend out in the UK? Because I would love to see that tour.
Yeah, they are. Maybe. I mean, they pick and choose these days, don't they? Because they're like almost like a cult band now, which is really interesting. And but they're amazing. Like, and even like all the newer stuff and the progression, and seeing where Sheila's voice has kind of gone from a metalcore and post-hardcore into southern, dirty, kind of almost Mastodon in places now, which is really cool to see. But Attack of the Dungeon Witch is one of my favorite songs of all time. Suck It Out is equally one of my favorite songs. And the Here's Legend self-titled is also one of my favorite albums. So Yeah, it's maybe. But again, another way of just being able to kind of, he's different in the sense that he creates theatrical scenarios, which I just find fascinating to like listen to. You know, when he brings back the princess and he brings back like this metaphor around gardens and stuff, and it's just weaved into all of their music, and I think that's amazing to be able to do. Whereas I'm saying, let's rise up, let's do it together. Not that I do that anymore.
Well, speaking of throughout this, you've mentioned just the randomest places you've played in terms of like geographically and touring and all that, but one thing we do like to ask bands on this every now and again now is the most bizarre or unique venue you have ever played with the band. And I mean this in terms of people have told us that they've played a back of a pickup truck or a zoo or a kebab shop, or it's just been something they didn't expect. Has there been anything where you've rocked up over the years and been like, really, we're playing here tonight?
Yeah, we played a lot of boats. France loves a boat.
Paris loves a fucking boat.
You'll know that, Sean, better than anyone. They love it. The Batafar, the Le Petit Bain, like they are two boats. A38 in Hungary, definitely played there a few times. They're all boats, and they're mental. And Le Petit Bain is wild because it's like a bar. It's almost like a barge. So, and the fans know what bands are going to do. Everyone thinks they're really original, like, I'm going to get them to run from side to side and make the boat rock. And then before you even say anything, they just start doing it. And I was like, I really don't want this to happen. And they still did it. So like that, like they love it. Batafar is actually a really good boat venue, but it's, it's just wild that they've got about 5 that are sat in Paris. Like, and we played one in, tiny one in Lyon as well before. So yeah, France love boats. We've also, when we started, I played at Wetherspoons where the rugby was on upstairs, and we played in front of the bands. That was wild. I played a restaurant before, which was pretty wild. Like literally played a restaurant where they just left the seats up and people were just eating their dinner. And then they were like, you can buy a ticket to go past a little, like, it was like just the normal, you know, when you go to a theme park or you go to like, I don't know, when you're like a theme park, going and getting, doing passport control, all of those like little dividers, they just had that in the way. And then you can pay to come in. So they're watching us. I can see them and they can hear me. Whereas far away from you as it was about 3 meters difference. You can come in and you can pay a tenner to come and see it. They're like, it's all right, I'll stay here. I'll eat my lunch whilst I'm watching them. But yeah, I did one of those back in the day. But we did the proper, like when we were younger, the proper touring. Like, makes me sound so old now because I'm like, oh, you don't know how you got it. Honestly, I don't think that. I don't wish it on anyone. I don't wish that on anyone. I don't think you should ever be subjected to what we subjected ourselves to, which was like, we kitted out a bloody LGV, as everyone does. And we put it we blew 3 head gaskets and didn't learn that we couldn't put that amount of MDF in vans and build bunks. Like, stop doing it because you can keep blowing up vans. And then what we did was we were like booking shows at the end of the tour to like continue the tour because we were pro. We went pro, which was so good. We were pro. We were on Basic Records and we were like, we're done. We're out. We're going. We're doing this now and we're pro. I don't do anything else and I'm really poor for it. And yeah, and we were like out for, I think we were out for 6.5, 7 weeks in the back of a van in the UK only. Didn't go across the channel, just in the UK. And it's random. We became like Wolverhampton Little Civics house band for a bit. And so I think that's random because you just see the arse end of nowhere in the UK. So yeah, there are many venues. And Shikari probably have us pipped for playing the most venues in the UK, but there ain't many that we haven't done. That's Lowestoft Seabreeze. That's a blast from the past. I used to do, where was it? Derby Viking was a blast from the past. That was another staple touring one. Plymouth White Rabbit.
I was going to say the White Horse in Wickham.
Yeah,
it was partial strip pub during the day.
Yeah, so was is it Stoke had one of those, which was a strip club on one side. Kingston had one. Kingston used to be, and it used to have a divider that was the strip club on one side and then And then a venue on the other side, just played some absolute dives. But, character building and all that.
It is, yeah. But like you said, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Like those, like I loved that. Like the Blackout went through that as well, and like I love that we got looking back on it. You're like, oh yeah, that was cool. It was funny playing to a dog and just a dog. That's funny. But then I would not wish it on anybody starting a band today.
How many tickets have you sold? Oh, well, on the Facebook group, it says 25 are coming. Fantastic. No one's coming. It's amazing. Can't wait. It's much like our Scandinavian tours. Basically the same.
Oh, wow. No, man. Well, as we start to wind down with this conversation, because you are a very busy man and we don't want to take up too much of your time. Obviously, we're recording this on the same week as Mental Health Awareness Week. And you're a big advocate for being a safe space and coping mechanisms on your social media and just with the work you do and everything. But if there was anyone listening to this who are maybe seeking advice or just struggling a little bit, is there anything you would suggest personally or professionally to kind of get someone out of the hump, or just in general when dealing with these kind of topics?
Yeah, I think it's the difficulty with all of this stuff is twofold. One is the wide spectrum of support needs that people may need, right? And it's really difficult. We homogenize, or we don't delineate as far as we would for physical health with mental health. We just go, it's mental health. And it's like, that is anywhere from acute psychiatric illness which need real higher levels of clinical support and clinical expertise to I've had an anxious moment and everything in between. And it's just unfair to do it because it's really difficult to understand what people might need. But the only way we're going to be able to do that is creating dialogue and creating ease of access for people to be able to, get to the right places. And that's really hard, and it's really hard at the moment because of things like waiting times for mental health related services. But equally, I think people can self-advocate for themselves as well about, learning a little bit more about themselves. What are their trigger points? What are the things that make you more or less anxious or more or less low? And how can you kind of work through some of those things? And understand that. Understanding when things are about to happen or can happen or have happened in the past can help us stop the exacerbation of those things moving forward. Broadly speaking, obviously, some people need support with things like medication, as I have done. And did for many years. And we need to destigmatize medication for mental health because you wouldn't have that if you have arthritis and you need to take things for a long-term health condition. Why would we have that for mental health, where some people just need a bit of help to rebalance the chemicals, really? We shouldn't over-medicalize. We definitely shouldn't over-medicate. And really it is putting a plaster over something that probably needs a little bit more unpacking, especially if it's about something. And I think as well for me, there's a real importance of building support mechanisms when you're well. What we tend to do is go, oh my God, I'm really unwell. I don't know what I'm doing. And one of the classic things with mental health, or certainly mental health related illness, is it makes you feel like nobody else could possibly have experienced this and survived. And you're like, nobody else could have experienced that. And that is just the way your brain is firing. And it's fight or flight, because your brain is going, I cannot do anything with this. How could we possibly survive this? And nobody could experience that. And it makes you feel shameful because of the stigma that's orientated with mental health. And it's not shameful. You're going through something, you're feeling something, and that's just normal. And it might not be normal in the sense of where you might be all the time, but it might just be a moment. So it's very normal for the body to do that. So I think we just need to, encourage people to build those, to have dialogue, to have those conversations, to build the support mechanism. So when you are unwell or dropping, and build those trusted relationships with people where they can go, you're not quite what you were yesterday. Do you want to chat? Let's have a conversation about it. The conversation is not going to solve the issue for 99% of the things. It's when people say, it's mental health, let's talk about it. Great, cool. Thank you for that dialogue. It's absolutely done nothing for me. But what talking about it does is open the doors for people to be able to get to the right place. And that is vital, because we're losing people and have lost, lose people every day, thousands, tens of thousands of people, because they don't feel like they have a place to reach out to that somebody will understand and give them a moment. And that is horrific. We don't lose people and because of most of the time, because of the illness that they're suffering from. It's not like physical health. Like I can lose my life because I've got a physical illness. Most people that lose their lives because of mental health is because they've acted on that and they don't feel that there's a place for them. And that is so sad. And equally, there's the other argument around it, which is I also believe in people's like choice. So, you know, I would never stigmatize somebody that has done that, you know, and because for some people that is where they are in their mind, you know, and that's horrible and really sad. And I wish that you could pick up all of those people and be like, no, like there is a life beyond this. But, you know, it's, I just find it really sad when you think about like all of those people that just needed somebody to be like, hey, gone through this, been through this, not the same. No one's the same, but let's find you the right place to get to, you know? And I think if people can do that and look out for their fellow person, like the world will be a far better place. And please don't ask people if they're okay or how are you okay if you're not willing to respond to it. Because if someone goes, hi, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Cool. Brilliant. Thanks for the conversation. It's absolutely not relevant at all. The problem is people go, how are you? You okay? And you go, no, I'm not good. And they don't have time to talk to you about it. That's horrible. You know, so that's the bit that we need to be better at, creating space and time to have meaningful dialogue, you know? Like an hour and a half on a call with two friends from Wales.
Hey, here we are. No, but man, I honestly thank you for that because, you know, this is something we always try and slip into the podcast as much as we can, as people need to look after each other and whatever way that might be. Yeah. Thank you so much for the words and taking the time, man. It's always been a pleasure speaking to you. I'm glad we could finally do one with you by yourself because, you know, just wanted to get some of your personal insights and laughter and stories. And yeah, it's always a pleasure.
No, it's a pleasure. Yeah, it's a pleasure to do it with both of you. When it popped up, I was like, absolutely, you know, and you're also such staunch and strong advocates for the scene and different music. And it's not all about the hit and big things out there, you know. It sounds like I'm in the 70s. Not a hip jive, man. It's not all about those hip jive turkeys, man. But it is about, you know, it is about supporting all parts of music. And you both have been long-standing advocates for that. As long as I've been in a band, I know you've both been pushing this well. So I really appreciate it and genuinely thank you for that.
Cheers, man. I appreciate
no worries.
that.
Thank you. But yeah, see you soon. And yeah, good luck with the album. I'm sure within a week of this coming out now, hopefully it'll go platinum and we'll be number one. So yes, come on, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Like, I take everything back. It's all about platinum. Yeah. No worries, lads. Right. I'll see you soon. All right. Yeah, bye.
You're listening to Sappenin Podcast. Yes. That was Dani Winter-Bates of Bury Tomorrow. Check out their latest album, Will You Haunt Me With That Same Patience. It's a fucking ripper. The fucking singles they brought out so far are crushers. But yeah, check it out. It's out today. Thank you very much to Dan and his band for the music over the years and for just being very, very lovely chaps.
They've always been kind to us and we always appreciate that. They're going to be touring throughout Europe and the UK for the rest of the year, basically, especially towards the tail end of it. So head over to their website for all the dates and where you can find them to mosh your absolute head off. That's a guarantee. You can mosh your head off to Bury Tomorrow. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. And of course, we're going to have a very busy next few months. So if you'd like to keep update with everything going on in the world of Sappenin Podcast, please head over to our social media pages at Sappenin Pod on Instagram. Give us a follow, check out our stuff. Or if you want exclusive news about a lot of things that we're not allowed to tell you before we do, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Sappenin. There's been some beef in the news this week.
What are we talking about?
We might talk about it on our Patreon soon.
Okay. Are we? Gossiping now? Yes! We've turned into the fucking musical gossip rag.
Hey.
Yes, but yes. Check out patreon.com/Sappenin, like you said. But as always, there's loads of names that we thank in the description of this episode, wherever you're listening to this episode. But we need to thank the top tiers of our Patreon. who are as follows. Thank you very much, Kylie Wheeler, Paul Hirschfield, Tony Michaels, Scarlett Charlton, Nathan Croshaw, Mitch Perry, Dilly Grimwood, Johanna, Molly Malloy and James Bowerbank, Jonathan Gutierrez, Amy Louise, Kat Besant, Ian Gent, Amy Hogg, Chris Howard, Jenny Robson, Amy Dawson, Scott Jones, Mayumi, Stuart McNaught, Ellen Southfield, John and Emma, Jennifer Dean, Caroline Robson, Span, Jenny Munster, Craig Harris, Louis Cook, Carl Pendlebury, James McNaught, Jason Heredia, Danny Eaton, Martina McManus, Thomas O'Neill, Ollie Amesbury, Emily Perry, Dan Peregrine, Adam King of the Goss Parslow. His band The Nightmares are breaking up in June, I believe. Is it June or July? June. Bugger. Go and see them if you can. They're fucking great. Thank you very much. Kalila Keane. Josh, I replaced my rooster with a duck. Now I wake up at the quack of dawn. Crisp. See, if you join our Patreon, you can out-joke Josh, which shouldn't be fucking hard, really, if you've got a face. Thank you very much. Lavender Lee Martin, Sophia Zuravska, Laura Russell, Fraser Cummins, Kyle, King of the Sloths, Smith, his words, not mine. And last but no means least, Connor Lewins and family. Thank you very much to all of those people and everybody in the description. Check it out, patreon.com/Sappenin for your behind-the-scenes look and your exclusives before we're allowed. Sometimes we say things on there that we're not supposed to say at all. Bastards. Illegal. It's illegal. Anyway, I've started down here now, so I'm going to stay down here for the rest of it. Sorry about that.
Because we'll get in trouble if you find out. But
yeah,
if you take a screenshot of this episode and put in your stories, we can refresh it at Sappenin Pod on Instagram, and that would help us a lot. So thank you.
Nice one, everyone. Sappenin. That's the first time I've ever tried to shout and whisper at the same time.
You're listening to Sappenin Podcast with Sean Smith and Morgan Richards. Thank you very much for downloading this podcast or streaming it, or I don't know what else you do with podcasts. Thank you very much.